Year's Eve where I said to my husband, let's do something different. I just really want to spend New Year's Eve with you alone at home. Maybe we'll, have a nice dinner and so on and so forth. And I was pouring my heart out to him because in the past, there's always been so many people around and I felt neglected. And I just really, because I love you so much, I just want to be with you. And thinking, oh my God, I'm being really vulnerable and sharing. And we went about our business. And on New Year's Eve, he was very cold, very standoffish, put himself to bed at 10 o'clock, left me alone on the couch, didn't even sit next to me. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? And I kept checking in. Are you okay? What's going on? Right. And he was very shut down in classic evader mode. Didn't want to talk about it. I'm fine. And then I made up all kinds of stories in my head.
Right. I hear you.
And so at one point, full 24 hours went by, and I finally said to him, I think he was out doing something for my daughter, and I said, I think we need to talk about what happened. And he said yes. So came home and we talked about it. And I asked him, what did you hear me say when I expressed the desire to just it be you and I? And what he heard, Lorraine, was that for the past 20 years, I've had miserable New Year's Eves with him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Instead of him hearing, I want to spend time with just you. He heard this other story. So how would have you solved that at another time? Would have you said, what are you hearing me say by
I
me?
would have checked in. And, because I'm going on, I like to talk. So I just went on and on pouring out my heart, assuming that he just heard my desire to be with the man I love alone and because and blah, blah, blah. I don't like to should on myself, but a better way would just be to present my desire without saying why. What I also could have just checked in with him and said, how do you feel about that? What are you hearing me say? And that would have opened up the dialogue for him to say, are you saying that for the past 20 years of us being together, and I would have said it's really 18, but anyway, that you haven't enjoyed our New Year's Eves together? And then I could have really, it just would have avoided being alone. And then at the end of the conversation, which we ended up having, he just said, can we have a do-over? And so we redid the night, and it was really beautiful. But it's just like all of that could have been avoided if I had followed my own rules of, I have this ebook, 6 Powerful Ways of Being to Foster Effective Communication and Connection in Your Relationship. And sometimes I just left that out for some reason, because for me, I felt I was so clear. How could you not possibly understand what I mean?
Right. You mean when you write it down, we're not perfect. When you're a coach, we're not perfect, and we don't hit it out of the park every time. But we learn from those. And this is the thing that I'm hearing, that oftentimes that I do. I make assumptions. Like I love the 4 agreements, because I really have to work on making assumptions. So somebody like my husband's quiet or something, I'm filling in the blanks, like in my head. Well, the reason is because of this and because of that. But when you say to your husband, or if you're in a relationship, what did you actually think you heard me say? That gives them the opportunity without any kind of assumptions, because it's the assumptions that get us in. He assumed some things about you, and you were assuming things about him, but you did get another date out of it.
Yes, we did. And, but we were able to clear it, because me being a yo-yo and an evader, I would have just had a quiet attitude and been really obviously had a chip on my shoulder, because like, you just ruined my New Year's Eve. I wanted to have a romantic night with you, and you had no communication with me at all. You just went to bed at 10 o'clock and left me on the couch alone. Like, how is that? And every time I asked what was wrong, it was nothing. So he was in invader mode. I was in my disappointment shut down mode. And then I made all kinds of stories. And what I did was I reached out to my coach and I said, this is what's going on. And I got schooled by my coach about how I'm showing up. And I was just like, dang it. Yes. And, we cleared it and perfect.
Right. So it's a learning process. We never quite arrive, right?
Yeah, journey. It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, because sometimes I think, oh, wow, we're so on this, and then something will happen, and I find myself assuming again. And so what as I get better and better, this is my prayer, and this is my hope, that my time to recognize that I'm making assumptions, and I'm putting some things on him, the time I recognize that is greatly decreased, because sometimes it takes like overnight, and then you're tossing and turning in bed. And so, so these can be transforming in your relationship, right? If you learn to recognize these and begin to work with your partner and recognize his style, so that you can talk to him at that level. So this can be transforming, right, Eva, in your relationship?
I would honestly say the main thing is when you transform yourself, your partner will automatically, the people around you will transform. And so I wouldn't really even put any emphasis. I mean, the way I do it, it's so easy to know what your partner's style may be, but focus on yourself, because as you show up more powerfully in your ways of being, you're adopting that role model mindset, and they're following, because, my husband doesn't get coached, and, it's not in the forefront of his mind, but how I'm showing and my way of being in my relationship is transforming both of us automatically. So adopt a role model mindset for sure.
That's excellent advice, because when we take care of ourselves, and when we become the person we are meant to be, it just kind of flows out of us, and it makes life better, doesn't it? Because we're taking responsibility for ourselves, not worried about the other person. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. When you change everything around, like Wayne Dyer said, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So it's kind of in that grain. You get to work on yourself and be responsible for your triggers, because triggers beget other triggers. And if you're not triggered and you realize what the feeling is that's underneath your trigger, and you can transform yourself, there's nothing for your partner to feed off of. Right. He doesn't have your trigger to feed off of. And so it's a win-win.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. That was great. Eva, I want you to tell our audience, because we're almost out of time. It went so quickly, but I'm so glad you're going to be here with us next week. Tell us how they can get a hold of you. And I believe that you brought a free gift. So can you let our audience know all about that?
Absolutely. So the free gift I have is the ebook that is my guidebook that actually will damage my relationship if I don't follow it. It's called Six Powerful Ways of Being to Foster Effective Communication and Connection in Your Relationships. And you know what? You can go on my website. It's evamedilek.com/PWOB, Powerful Ways of Being, PWOB. And you can download that guidebook right into your inbox. And of course, anybody can email me at eva@evamedilek.com. I'm happy to chat with any of your viewers if they need any guidance or direction in their relationships, or recognize their styles, or want to go deeper into those relationship styles.
Okay, and let me remind you that Eva's last name is Medilek, Medilek, and that will be on the website also. So I want to thank you for coming in. This is great, because relationships are at the core of how we are how we are being in this world. It all depends on our relationships with each other and our communication. And so I know that you want to just be a better person as we age. I long for that. I long for deeper communication with my husband. I've been married for 42 years. You've been married, is it 18, did you say? Or that's what people say?
We've been together more than 18 years. It took him a while to propose, but we'll be 11 years married this year. Yeah.
So he is the evader. It took him a while to propose.
It took him a while, yes.
So in closing, I want to ask you one more question. What do you believe is the single most important character quality that produces resilience? I thought this is a good question for you because you deal so much in relationships and personalities. What do you believe is the single most important character quality that produces resilience throughout the years?
Resilience, I would say commitment.
Oh, I like that.
Being 100% committed. You know, I've heard Beyonce sing 50-50 in relationships. No, you got to be 100 in your relationships. And when you show up fully committed, you are resilient with whatever challenges come your way.
That's right. Exactly. That's great. Commitment. So that will produce resilience if you stay 100% committed. So I want to thank you for coming in today. I am so glad you are coming back next week. And I want to thank you out there in the audience, those that are listening. And I want to remind you that it is never too late to improve your relationship. It is never too late to take responsibility for yourself. It is never too late to follow your dreams, lose weight. It is never too late to live a life of purpose. So Eva, we will see you back here next week. And audience, we want you to live like today is the last day and take care of those things, your relationships. If it's your relationships that you need to take care of them today, because it is never too late ever until it is. We'll see you back here next week.